Hello there and welcome to Caribbean Soul. And today our featured recipe is collard greens. And for most of you, you know that collard greens is a down-home southern kind of dish that goes way back in history. My grandmother raised me on collard greens as a little girl. So this has become my favorite all-time dish in the whole wide world. I could actually eat these for breakfast. I could eat them for dinner. Anytime works for me. So today we're going to talk about how we make a great pot of collard greens. It doesn't take a lot. They're very simple, very affordable. You get them, by bundles, and you get them according to the size of people that you want to feed. So I'm only making a nice medium-sized pot today, not a big party pot. So when you're going to go looking for your collard greens, there are some things that you want to pay attention to. And those things, number one, are about the appearance of the greens. So what I have done here is I have taken out of some of my greens. I have a bunch more I've already done, but I saved these so I could share this with you guys. These are greens that were part of a bundle. And in that bundle, you will have greens that look like this. This green has a hole in it. Well, I'm not really sure who put this hole in it, if it was a creature or a person. So I don't want to give that to my friends, my family, or myself. This green looks a little torn, and it has a lot of dark black, scratches on the back of it, things that look kind of weird. So that is not a good one. This one is yellowed. Anything that looks yellow is a bad quality green. So as you go through the bundles with your fingers, when you pick them up at the grocery store, you want to pay attention to things like that. You take a bundle like this, and you just kind of look through it. And you look at the green, and looks like a great bundle, and this is a great bundle. So another thing I want you to look for, let's just put this over here. Another thing I want you to look for is your tab. This is going to be one of the ways the greens are tied together or band together. Sometimes it's rubber bands. If it is rubber bands, you want to be careful that you take that rubber band off the green, you dispose of it so it does not end up in the wash and left and it goes in the pot. Because if it goes in the pot, it may end up on the plate. So another way it could be banned is with this band with a wire included inside. Inside this is a tiny wire that could actually break once you take the green away from the band. So when you're undoing the band like this, you want to be very careful that it doesn't break. Like in this case, the paper comes off, and now you have a band, a green with a band, that could break into the green. So you want to avoid that. And you have to be very careful. As you see how it's doing? We want to avoid that. And it comes off. As it comes off, I remove these out of the way, completely out of my cooking space. We just don't want to, have any accidents. Because if you get that in your throat or you swallow it, it could be a health issue. So now I'm looking at these greens and I'm looking at this bundle. Another good thing I want to point out before we go further is this bundle. See how nice and cut the edges are? What we want to do, we're going to put this bundle over here until we're ready for it. What we want to do is we're going to shave that bundle once more with a knife. You're going to need a nice sharp knife. That's going to make your cutting process really easy. Let's just put that over there. That's going to make your cutting process really, really easy if your knife is sharpened. So now we're going to do what they call pick the greens. And if you ever heard some of the older Southern women in the South, they use that word quite often. I have to pick my greens. So when you're picking your greens, you can use a paper towel, you can use a regular towel. I don't really like doing that, it slows me down. But I do a great visual of each leaf. So when I do that, I look at my leaf, I look for things like grit. I do not do gritty greens. Gritty greens means you have to wash. So in this case, we're gonna look at each leaf. These are really, really healthy greens, really healthy. I love it when I get a bunch of healthy greens because I don't always find those. Now this one has like a little raggedy leaf there, see, but that's okay. We don't care about that. All of these look to be very healthy. There doesn't seem to be any little creatures on them, which is another good thing. So we take these greens and we stack the bundle. We do this, and we stack this bundle. And we're gonna keep doing that until we stack. Now, what I'm gonna show you is, because rather than do this whole process, through the whole film, I'm gonna show you how we stack these greens and roll and cut them. So we're going to stack the greens accordingly. We're going to roll them in. So I am one of those people, I love my stems on my greens. Some people don't. It's totally up to you. But when you have an excess stem, such as, showing, I would suggest cutting that stem away, okay? You're gonna cut those away. You're going to roll the greens like this. Make sure they stay tucked in together. And then you're going to start cutting. And as you cut, they're gonna be cut in a circular style. Now, sometimes I cut them really small. It just depends on, how much time I have. Sometimes they're bigger. Some people pull them apart with their hands. I have never liked that way. I'm more meticulous about cooking, maybe. But I prefer to cut them and get them in circles like this. And then I have some greens going here in water already. We're gonna take those and dump them there. We're gonna keep cutting. So you're going to cut, 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 cut. So now, we didn't talk about what we're gonna need for ingredients. Our ingredients are pretty simple. The things you're gonna need some chicken broth, some olive oil. I have some Cajun seasoning, which is really good. One is spicy, one is not. It's totally up to you. These are optional. It depends on your taste. I like spicy, so I'm gonna use the spicy. And you'll need some salt and pepper, along with a great meat. Now, the best preferred meat for collard greens is a smoked meat, of course, one that has been cured. You can use a turkey leg, turkey breast. You can also use ham hocks. I don't do those anymore. On the old days I did. What I got is a great sweet meat. This is a beautiful meat. It's a pork sweet meat, but it's really, really good. So I've already washed this meat and I've got it prepared and ready to go into my pot. And these greens are gonna go in that pot also. But before we do that, we're going to go through the washing process. And the washing process could be anywhere from 3 to 4 washes, depending on your greens and how much grit they have on them. Now, again, I said, you want to avoid purchasing greens with grit. So I'm going to wash these greens, some nice warm water. In the greens, I put a little salt to help take away the abrasive part of it, helps take away anything that's loose on them. I let them run in water, and I'm going to let them soak for a few minutes. And I'm going to let them soak for a few minutes for about 3 to 4 washes. And what I've done here is I am very meticulous about the sink. Hi, honey. How are you? How are you? I'm cooking greens. Oh, honey, could you crack the pot there, please? Thank you so much. So I'm very meticulous about washing my greens. So my greens, I have what they call green pans in my house. These are just pans I got from a discount store, just so that I could wash my greens in the pans and not in the sink. Now, people use their sink, and that's fine. You can use your sink, but you need to clean it first. So some of the great things to have at home also are lemon and vinegar. You may want to clean your sink really, really good, because we use our sinks for a lot of things. So these are my green pans. And my green pans allow me to wash in one sink, take those greens, dump them into the green pan, dump the water, rotate the pan, and continue to do that until my greens have been washed at least 3 times each time. The first time I do this, I do a soak, a green soak. It lets some of the stuff kind of wash away from the greens like right away, and then it kind of sits there, but you don't want it there too long. So it kind of, it's like letting anything soak away. It just helps the cleaning process, as far as I think. I mean, I could just be wrong about that, but that's just one of the things I do. So those are going to soak for a few minutes. And while those are soaking, I'm going to show you what you will need to do on the other side of the kitchen at the stove. So we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back, and I'm going to show you how you should be putting your meat in the water. You're going to start with a half pan of boiling water. And you want to be able to put the meat into the water when it's boiling. You don't necessarily have to, but I like to get the process rolling by having everything, the water, all ready to go. So we're going to put our meat into the water, and then we will come back, okay? Well, hello everybody, and I told you we'd come back to do part 2 of this. Right now we're going to be adding in our greens and our meat. We have our ingredients all ready to go, that's close to the stove and everything, so you don't have to run around the kitchen. I don't like all that. So right now we're going to be putting in our meat and getting the greens going.
Hey, honey.
Hi, sweetie.
Can we put the meat in for you?
Oh, sure, you can put the meat in for me. Oh my, he's such a sweetie. He's gonna put the meat in for me. So he helps cut down on the time. I love it. So we are actually really good in the kitchen together, just so you guys know. So while he's putting in the meat, I'm going to be bringing the greens to the stove so I don't have to walk back and forth. And because I washed them in the green pans, I think I mentioned that earlier, then I have them right here. So they're accessible, like easy, it's easily accessible to the stove. So that way I'm not dropping greens all over the kitchen floor.
There you go.
So, oh, thank you, sweetheart. Thank you so much, darling. He is such a sweetheart in the kitchen. I just love him. So now we're gonna add in our meat, our greens with our meat. And this is our sweet meat we talked about. Again, you can use, ham hocks, smoked turkey legs, and I think I mentioned turkey breast, but actually it's smoked turkey wings. They actually work really good in greens. So I'm going to be adding the greens in like this. Our meat is cooking. And the reason I like the smoked sweet meat that I'm using is because unlike the turkey, I have to take it out. I have to debone it and get all the fat and the bones away from it, then put it back. So it's a longer cooking process for me. And the sweet meat, because my honey loves sweet meat, and I have, decided whatever makes him happy makes me happy.
Just like you.
So yes, baby, I got you. I hear you. So mommy's gonna be making what daddy likes. So daddy likes sweet meat in his greens. So now we're gonna do all the greens. Now, if you get to a point where your greens overfill your pot, don't panic, because they cook down. And as they cook down throughout the cooking process, you can go in and stir a little, and they will actually make more room in the pot for the next batch. So I actually have a second batch. I said I didn't cook a lot, but I guess I did. So I have a second batch that I'm going to be cooking. But right now we're gonna let this batch cook down, and as the time goes on, I'll come back and add the other. So once we add our greens, we're going to add in a little virgin, I'm using extra virgin olive oil, just a little bit, just enough to, kind of cover the middle, not a lot. I'm gonna use some regular Cajun seasoning. And remember I told you that I like it hot. I like my foods hot. And luckily I got a guy that likes the same thing. So
Just
in this
like
house,
you.
yes, honey, in this house, we are okay with what's hot. So
Yes.
this is actually more spice. It's a little more seasoned than the regular or original Cajun seasoning. So we're going to add some of that. And we have salt. We have salt. And you don't have to put a lot of salt, okay? You don't want to over salt, because what's going to happen with greens, this is more of a season to taste kind of dish. And we're going to have pepper, so we're going to just dump our pepper in there like that. We can actually dump the rest of this salt. I think we're okay. And now, so we're going to add these ingredients, and we're going to stir. We have also the chicken broth. We're not going to add that just yet. We're going to wait till the end of the cooking time, because we don't want it to evaporate away. So right now we're going to stir this. We're going to let these cook. We're going to come back and check to make sure we have water that covers them properly so that they cook really good without scorching or burning against the pan. And then we're going to add the chicken stock at a later time. So right now, I'm going to, oh, thank you, honey. I told you, he's so wonderful in the kitchen. Oh, my God. Oh, honey, could you take this for me, please?
No problem.
He is just, they only made one of him, by the way. So ladies, you don't get another one of these. So we're going to stir our greens like this, okay? And when we stir in our seasonings, these are gonna be so good. Oh my God! And you eat these. You can make cornbread, good old-fashioned cornbread or Jiffy Mix or whatever you decide, and a nice side meat and some great veggies on the side like tomatoes and cucumbers. You can add your own fresh onion. You can pour vinegar over them. Jalapeno peppers. This is a great dish, that you can put together, along the way, based on what you like. So we're gonna leave those like that. We're gonna let them cook on a medium heat. And you're gonna want to be careful that they don't like boil up and boil over. So I get them boiling really good, and I kind of crack my lid like this, and that way they don't boil over. After a certain point of the cooking time, they won't boil over. So now we're going to let them cook. As I said, you're going to continue to look at them to make sure that the water stays at least an inch and a half, 2 inches above the cooking greens, because because you don't want the greens to scorch against the pot. So just, whatever you put there, just don't flood them with water, but something that's nice and that covers the greens. And then you're going to continue to add if you have to along the way. So we're going to come back in a little while, probably somewhere around a half hour or so, and we're going to add a little more water and check on the greens. This process takes a couple of hours. This is not a fast process, just so you know. Don't think you can run in the kitchen and make these so fast, okay? So with that being said, we're going to take a break away from the stove, away from the kitchen. We're going to let them cook, and then we will come back and add in our a little extra water, and later we'll add in our chicken broth and see how our greens come out. I think they're going to be pretty tasty. I think you'll be very pleased. So stay tuned. We will be back shortly. Well, okay guys, we're back, and we are going to be checking up on our greens. They've been cooking for some time now, and we still have a large amount of water, but that's because I added water. So what you're going to want to do throughout the cooking process is to continually check your water level to make sure your greens are boiling at a fast rate, because the higher they boil, the quicker they get done, but it just helps to intensify the cooking process. So you want to make sure you're getting that real boils, that boil sound. And you're going to continue to turn them. You're going to flip them up and down, and be really careful. This is, it's a hot dish. So, and I mean as in heat, not in spice. So be careful to, when you're turning your greens and you're flipping the bottom to the top, so that the greens at the top can kind of move to the bottom, when they get an even cooking time. And these are smelling so good. Oh my God. My honey is like, oh baby, it smells like the holidays. But, ready? Yeah, they're not ready yet, honey. But in this, in this house, greens are like a regular, we eat them a lot around here. So, it's a treat to some people, but for me, because it's one of my favorite dishes, I make sure to incorporate it in my diet on a regular schedule. So we're gonna let them cook a little more. I would say this again, that this is approximately a 2 to 2.5 hour cooking process, because it's a tough leaf. It's not, a really thin leaf or easy cook like a cabbage. So we're gonna want to continue, to cook them at a nice medium to low temperature, and just kind of keep a watch on them. And then in a few minutes, we're gonna add our chicken broth that we talked about that goes in. But in the meantime, I thought we could throw on some pork chops. And, we just want to wash your hands off here at the top. So we're going to throw some pork chops on. This is going to be paired with the greens for the night, and I'll make some cornbread later. And, not sure if you're going to see that on camera tonight, but today, but I just want to make some pork chops. I think that'll be a great addition to the greens. So what I have here is 3 center cut pork chops. And I'd like to have you come a little closer to look at these. I want to get you guys right in there. Okay, I think I got you. So we have 3 center cut pork chops. You can get these from your butcher, from your meat counter, any place in a grocery store. And what you look for is you look for the bone that kind of curves around the edge here. This gives you a great cook up for your pork chop. And that's a nice looking pork chop. It's a very pretty pork chop. So this pork chop, these pork chops are going to be seasoned up, and I'm going to use my Creole seasoning. In this case, I'll use one, again, more spice. We love spice around here. We have salt and pepper, and we have flour. And if you notice, I put my flour in a bag. Now, the reason I put my flour in a bag is because I hate a mess in the kitchen. This is such an easy way to prepare a breaded meat without the mess and clean up. And flour is, it's a very sticky, ingredient to get off your hands once it's wet. So I use flour in the bag, and if you want, you can even save this for another occasion. So depending on how bad, you beat up this batch. So we're going to season up our chops. I have a half a cup of cooking oil cooking here in my nice cast iron skillet. We're going to season up our chops, And we're going to, after that, we're going to, put them in our grease. So we're going to start with a little salt each side, not too much. And I just want to mention that, I'm a sea salt user in my dishes. I love sea salt. I love the coarse, that coarse feel that it gives. And I'm not sure if it's healthier for you or what, but I love sea salt. So in my house, I use sea salt all the time. So we're going to put a little salt on each side, a little pepper. And then we're going to add a little bit of our spicy Creole. We can add a lot of that because we'll add a lot because we like spicy stuff. So we'll, doll those up that way. We're going to turn them over just like that. And we're going to add some more sea salt. Not too much. Just enough to give it a little salty flavor. And then we add our pepper. Now we want to make sure our grease, we want to make sure it doesn't overheat. So we go and we turn it down a little because we don't want our chops to, burn when we put them in the pan. So we want to, make sure that it's not too high. And again, we're going to do some more spice on the other side. And then after that, we're just going to turn them. So when I do my chops, I like to get around the edges, especially around the bone, because that's where all the flavor is. And I am known for getting all the flavor out the bone when I'm done with my pork chop. It is so good. So we just kind of toss them around, get the edges all spiced up. I mean, such a great addition to collard greens. Oh my God. So let's wash our hands here. And now we're going to take the chops one at a time. We're going to take our flour first. We're going to drop some in our grease. We see that our grease is nice and hot. That means our chops are ready to go in. My place smells so great tonight. It does, sound like smell like a holiday. So something else I did here is I cut a tip of the chop. It keeps the chop from curling up. It keeps the chop from curling up. And we take them and we place them nice and flat inside the skillet. We'll put that one there, and then we'll put this one here. And as they cook up, they cook up nice. So we're going to put two. I mean, we could have did a bigger skillet, but since we didn't, we're just going to put two here for now. And let those cook up on a nice temperature. And then we're going to brown each side. After we brown them, we will take them out and put them on a platter so that they will drain any excess grease out of them. So stay tuned as we prepare to, get the pork chops going. Okay? Okay, guys, we're at a home stretch right now. I took the pork chops out of the cooking oil, and this is what we get. We get nice, crispy, brown pork chops each side. Those are so delicious looking. So the cook time probably for each side is about 3 to 4 minutes on a low to medium temperature in order for you to get the brown texture that I have. It depends again on how brown you would like them. So after we have done those, now we're going to move back to our collard greens. This is the final stretch for our collard greens, and this is where we're going to add our chicken stock that we talked about. So we're just going to open our lid. We're going to pour it in. It smells so good. It's just to give it additional flavor. You really don't have to use this. It is optional, but it gives it a great savory flavor. Kind of a rich, rich texture and juice. Instead of a watery taste, you'll get a rich taste. So once we put that in, we're going to stir again, nice and slow, so that we don't get burned from the heat or the juice that may, you know, spatter over. These are going to be so delicious. Oh my God, I can't wait. And I've gotten tomatoes, and I have fresh hot jalapenos from my balcony garden that I'm going to eat with these, along with cornbread. My honey is going to have a great meal tonight. He's going to really love Mama tonight.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, Papa. We are going to have a feast for dinner tonight. It's going to be, you know, like an old Southern style feast, you know, on a Thursday night. What could I ask for? Life is good. So we're going to let this just cook continuously. We're going to let these cook for probably another half hour, and then at that point our greens should be ready to go. Again, I'm emphasizing this should take anywhere from 2 to 2.5 hours cook time. It will vary. You will need to occasionally take a fork and not burn yourself, because they're really hot when they come out of the pot. But you want to taste them to see if they are now tender, or if they're still a little tough. You know, you want to make sure you're not eating up a green that's not totally done. I don't know how your stomach will take that. So just bear with us, and you know, it's a long cooking process for these, but we're going to shorten it for you by just editing it out a lot of this craziness. We don't need you to see all the extras. So let your greens cook, let them roll, find something else in the house to do, and we'll be back with the final stretch, okay? Okay guys, we're all done with our collard green recipe for today. Showing here, I have the finished collard greens, which are nice and tender, along with the sweet meat, which is nice and tender, with some fresh jalapeno peppers from my balcony garden, some cornbread, pork chops fried, fresh tomatoes, and cucumbers. Feel free to add onions or apple cider vinegar along with this dish to make it even tastier. It's all about what you like. So thank you for stopping by our YouTube channel today to share in this recipe preparation. We appreciate you as a viewer. We'd like for you, before you leave our channel, to like, to subscribe, and share our video. Okay, so we'll see you again in the future on our channel. Thank you.